Right. Today is May 9th, 2023. It's been crazy the last few days. Um, Last night on my clients out on Turquoise Street, they showed up and they were screaming stuff from another street. So I start rambling, drugs and told to say stuff, Photoshop shower scene, Dave confessing he hired some guy named Pete on his own one day and that his phone's tapped. And that it was just that guy Pete on his own up there beating me, raping me, drugging me, and then photoshopping everything. People have talked about it because that retired judge um, uh, had he got access to the protected custody case that agent opened, and he hacked into it and sold it. Okay, well, I go back out, and there's a guy out there screaming at him. I just told Dave, don't you ever say that you had her taped unaware before by that guy. Da 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 da. You go to jail for that. Don't you ever say that again. He told me that he didn't realize it till he read what she wrote, where I put it on my Facebook, calling him a dirty SOB, and he's not my pimp. He said, and he didn't realize what he had done until he read what she wrote. He said, he did see that guy at that church. This is what's going on. Where, my God, I had an FBI agent at my office. He's right there. Okay. Last night, the neighbors said that Dave was also dating one of the cop's daughters up there. Also. And that is what's going on. He was dating one of the officer's daughters. See, Dave had 17 girlfriends in high school, manipulated 17 women, and they all found out and they all broke up with him. He'll still tell you about it. Well, he was dating Michelle. Everybody knew about Michelle. They also knew about Lauren. There was also a heavy-set blonde girl, wore her hair most of the time in French braids, drove a blue car. She's the one that came down and yelled at the goons from Ravenna on Fairlawn Street after May 25th, 21. That Saturday or Sunday, about 3 to 5 in the evening. My car is bugged from the case. Yells out, "Are you crazy? You can't enter a drug confession." Well, we just found out they drugged her and told her to say it before. That was in 21. They had been bragging they drugged me up in front of the investigators since the beginning of the case. And that they were using sodium pentothal. They were using date rape drugs. That you sleepwalk. And they would say that the drugs they were using, they could control anybody. Okay? And perfect example, Eric, where on November 18, 22, Walmart 62 by the hair salon, November 18, 22, 2 to 6 p.m. She comes in screaming. All the tapes before were me and not her. It was my idea to do it. My idea to come up with it. My idea to say it. For all these people turned on, they fell for it. Ha ha ha! And he's in there confessing. Well, they had called March 13, 21 and pretended to be Eric and had like he was stalking me. They were pretending there was a Steve involved and have him call Carp and all this other stuff. And the police were looking at him for stalking because they said they were taping me unaware and they were the ones drugging and beating me before. So on April 15, 16, 23, Dave's phone is tapped from the case. Danny, where I was trying to tell Shay, my grandson's girlfriend, and Jen, about these weird Steve and Eric, and then how he came and confessed and that they were really messing with me. And I had bruises. I was throwing up, almost passing out. And they were saying they had date rape drug confessions and, uh, and she's like, this is creepy. And I said, I know. And I was fine till I moved up there. Well, and Jen's like, I didn't think about it. I could mow the lawn like nothing at Lennox. And I mean, I tried to do 2 strips and I almost passed out. I get up there, I'm covered in bruises, I'm throwing up, I'm almost passing out in front of people. Within the second week, they were drugging the hell out of me. Okay? And beating me, and I got a personal infection. They said they were raping me. They were laughing at me. They got away with raping me before, and I didn't know it because they drugged me up. And Dave kept touching me. Sick SOB. He's not my pimp. Well, he, that's where, Danny called his dad. And when I went April 16, 23, about 4 to 5 o'clock in the evening, my car is bugged. I go to leave her mom's memorial service where she had passed away last month. And, she, Jay and Gabe walk up to Danny and Jen, her brother, said, I heard what she said to Shay. Now, this is funny. He said, I know I called my dad. He don't know why that guy confessed. He had nothing to do with it. He had hired some guy named Pete on his own. He was the one up there taping underwear and doing all those things to me. He was beating me to cut my leg. I have a scar on it. I called Dave. I woke up, my leg's bleeding onto the bed. He's like, maybe I got you a toenail. It was white as a cigarette. I had to tape it. I had hand marks bigger than mine in my arms. I'm like, did I squeeze myself? And the fingerprints were bigger than mine. I had giant bruises everywhere, throwing up, headache, short of breath, heart racing. I was like, what's wrong with me? And then I got a personal infection that I could hardly even go to the bathroom. Here they were raping me, and I'm covered in bruises, being beat, raped, and drugged up so bad I can't even put thoughts together. Is that funny, doing that to a human being? No. And then saw videos of me and Dave in bed, and then put a shower scene in the other room. That's where I was trying to tell my daughter-in-law that if they have a shower scene in the other room, that they have porn of her. She's like, well, I hope I'm guessing. You don't understand. They have everybody that uses the bathroom. They have Dave naked. They have everybody. Trying to let her know some weirdo would have kitty porn of kids going to the bathroom, because everybody goes to the bathroom at one point or another. And so, but yeah, and Danny's like, and he seen that guy. Dad said he seen an agent up at that church asking of threats on her life. And he even talked to him, said he was the only agent from the agency looking in it himself. See, last night on Turquoise Street, that guy showed up. I told Dave, are you crazy? Telling people that you had some guy tape her unaware before and do all those things to her? You go to jail for that. He said he didn't think about it till where I wrote it on Facebook, what he could get charged for. He said he didn't think about it till he looked her up and he seen what she wrote. He said, and he did see that guy up at that church, and he did talk to him. This is what's going on. For my God, I had an FBI agent in my office. Drama queen. Seriously? Drama. But yeah, see, this is where it's coming down to it. And then one of the neighbors said, it is what's going on. Dave was even dating one of the cop's daughters up there. See, I try to tell Will on the phone that some guy told him. He called me a flat out liar. Instead of, my God, I want the name of the church. I want to find out who's going up there. See what I mean? I try to tell him what happened at Huntington Bank. The guy threatened to knife me. That he had tried to kidnap me before. He asked me if there was a camera above the bench. I didn't know. Do you know, I was watching the show? They said they ask you those questions so they get away with things because you won't have the answer. And I was like, I don't know. You don't know? You better say your line or I'll put you in jail. And I'm like, what? He said, you either say your line or I'll arrest you. If you don't know if there was a camera above that bench when that guy came up behind you and threatened to knife you, it's like, fine, whatever. That was the Detroit Boys' kidnapper. He had already killed Lori's family member for my one job. They had people laugh in her face that they tied her up and cut her in pieces. He went on to take my house manager Marlisa's niece and that girl at the ATM and a bunch of other people. And he still knows. People know about him. He stalks people at gas stations. He had a picture of him walking by at least the bank with, he walked right off with the Pizza Hut lady. See, that's where he broke the law. There's battery laws. Department of Justice 1729. You have to take a victim or a witness or informant statement if you believe it or not and follow through. It's obstruction, justice, tampering with evidence, and tampering with witnesses. See, that's where he didn't want that. And that guy, yeah. I see an officer already told on that agent for telling on me. November 6, 22 at Trinity Gospel. was telling other investigators. An officer verified he'd seen that agent tell on her before she called him back. Oh my lord. Mm-hmm. And see, but then I told him about the what a shame guy. He had people looking for him. Grabbed the wrong guy in Walmart. It's like, leave the short guy alone. And then enlisted me a informant with $5,000 a month, diplomatic immunity for month. I mean, not for month, for life. For you have life of peace as an informant, and nothing legally stated dated against you again for working this case. Uh, let's see. I opened an account with $5,000 a month. It'll start building today, and you'll have that money to live on when you move out and from now on. And no man will ever touch you. I'll protect you. Don't worry about a little thing. I'll take care of everything. And we'll always put it back as if it never happened, and only for you would we ever do this for. And you can't be legally charged for anything again for working this case, and you have that money to live on when you move out. Okay? But if you tell someone, oh, this is crazy and no one will help you. I already told him Dave knew. And the churches. He wouldn't listen to me. He can't listen to me crazy. An FBI agent tried to tell an informant they couldn't say something out of state. They got an attorney and sued him, and the press ripped him a new one last year. If that agency thinks it can tell anybody they can't say anything, they better shut him down. They'll only hire law enforcement. It takes a judge to take your freedom of speech away. A court order. He can't. They're only hiring cops. That's where all this is ridiculous. See, I didn't think Will was real. I thought he was a Riri from my ex-husband. He told me what office he was in, and within 10 days I had heard Dave outside on the phone. He never knew I knew that Dixie and the baby would be next, and they had a list of people. So I Googled the office, and I call him up, I tell him my name, and then I'm working with him. And she yells out, well, he's got a list I'm working on. He heard Dave. Okay? Then within, 2 months, right before Christmas, I seen that guy they were setting up for the gunshot night. I found out later he's walking down the road and had swerved to go around him. He took off through the side woods. I called down there and I said, I seen the guy and he's down the road. She yells out, well, you call up there and tell those police to take care of this. She seen that guy. See what I mean? Well, that guy last night was also screaming. They all realized how not funny this is. It took the sheriffs and the marshals out of this area to pick up that case. And they got 800 bad guys. I had over 200 drug traders and human traffickers around me the first month. The Detroit boys, the Kingsmen, there was groups from Texas. It was a big case. And they got 188 out of Ohio. And they got the people from the New York and everything else that were here. Dear God, one of the main guys were here in Louisville, and a whole group of them. And they were telling everybody they were drug traders. The case this is where it doesn't make sense. He opened that case. He had an officer talk to David, and he said officer, white guy with white hair, Lamar Sharp and Michael Broswell, and Michael from Canton. Please, they seen him in the back of CSE Bank. 19 and 20, people would talk, Karen's got her own security here. I do. And they were the ones at North Canton Jackson. Please seen them at Liberty House. Your worst thing you ever did wrong, honey, is bent over. Probably we can wipe that one out because Dave verified that one made fun of the back of my knees. And some old guy was breaking, he was sodium pentothal me and making up some kind of a wrong nightgown and butt line. And he had drugged me and told me to say it. See, they've been running around since 18 telling everybody they had sodium pentothal reports. And they were date rape drugging me, so I'd be sleepwalking for 4 to 6 hours. See, none of this is funny. And let's see, Sunday, I went to walk, and they said, Karen's Will's here, walking in the park, here in Louisville. No one's saying anything. Everybody found out that it was just her ex-husband, and that guy peed on his own doing all that to her before. And the FBI betrayed her. And they were talking about, I was in New Philly. I walk in, people said they knew that she was going to be here, and all the police said none of this is funny. And nobody said say a word. Well, that retired judge sold that login for $25 a pop and made millions off of it at my expense and others. And even the Mennonites have it. They were in there talking. We found out Karen's ex-husband was even threatening a baby. I know, and everything she lived through. They didn't even pay her. They got 800 bad guys. I was left in a concentration camp. Where the hell did that agent go? Police were talking about it, that Will set it up for her telling on them that they can never touch her in her life. And he made sure of it, for it's a life of peace as an informant, even when you tell. See, the informant program's different than the regular witness protection program. You just give them a statement, you move out. The other ones, you work as a civilian spy, you feed them information. See, and that where you put your life at risk, you get the $5,000 a month for life, and then the diplomatic immunity, so nobody can ever touch you again, because you actually will help work a case that they took bad guys down. You put your life at risk. I got tortured by a drug cartel. I got publicly humiliated, bashed in the back of the head, drugged up till I lost 70 pounds, almost murdered several times. Yeah, well, some of the neighbors, they said, act like Dave was down here, badmouthed me. Said we told him, figures he was down here lying, and they didn't want to hear it no more. And that they knew that it was him and that other guy doing it, and that he better get ready. The police are going to arrest him for this. Haha. Go neighbors. The police need to arrest him. Even my friend from the prosecutor's office, they got his confession that he hired that guy on his own. Duh, the police better arrest him. Fourth Amendment. You have a right to be safe and secure in your own home. It's illegal to anybody to set up button cameras and stalk you. You haven't died and your husband's trying to kill you. Been 4 attempts. Hires a stalker to stalk you. Photoshop scenes. Break in, date, rape, drug you, beat you, rape you. Poor things laying there, bruised, raped, infected, not knowing what happened to her, throwing up. Oh, I've seen by the doctor for all that. The personal infection, swollen, bruising, heart racing, short of breath, headache, throwing up. See, nobody knew what was wrong with me. They gave me iron. They thought I was anemic. When you put date rape drugs on it and being raped under drugs, it pulls it together. And that retired judge is stalking me. He told everybody it was my rich boyfriend. Da-da-da-da-da. Time the case started. Told you Saturday night about midnight after I did that one video, he was outside my apartment yelling stuff. Saturday, I went to Acme. Lady showed up. We're supposed to keep an eye on her. We heard that guy yell stuff at our apartment. It is what's going on. The investigators already interviewed her family a long time ago. She never hurt anyone. The other undercover police said, well, we caught the other ones lying. We always knew they lied. That's why we never bother to say anything to her. Because they came up and told me they caught the Mouse kids making everything up on Thanksgiving of 18. They wanted the house for Auntie Shaw and Papa. They're just mean jokes. Extreme mean jokes. The undercover police went in as undercover, not trying to bring anybody in the murder investigation. They just went and talked to my kids like friends or co-workers, you know. And I never heard anybody and nobody ever seen anything. It was all wiped out in 18. That's why those 2 young officers are yelling at you. What are you talking about? We interviewed her whole family a long time ago. She's never heard anybody and nobody's seen anything. They interviewed him in 18. This is what my friend from the prosecutor's office said. It's a fraud scam, as if they could do this and get money out of it. The only thing happens is they go to jail. One of my other friends said it's a drug scam from the drug cartel. As if they could do this. They're using people, they call it the people that are helping out, low IQ and idiot people, for helping them. They mock them. I'm going to upload this, but yeah, I was found innocent of everything in 18. See, that agent opened a real case, had a heavy-set officer go talk to Dave, and he's over. He'll tell everybody I'm innocent. My one client out in Hartville, they were telling the neighbors some guy had showed up and said they taped her before. They called the cops on them, said they didn't have a right to be in her home before. It's illegal. You know, they said no one had a right to. He showed up and said she's an informant. Kurt said they're all going to get in a lot of trouble for this. See, where did that agent go? He opened that case, had an officer talk to Dave. He had the biggest case in the world. And he fed me to a drug cartel. Where's my money? I paid dearly for this case, and it's all documented in a protected custody case. And that judge sold it, and a lot of people have it. Even Mennonites, people, churches, Faith Family, Woodlawn Church, St. Mary's. They have it out in Warren, Bedford, Akron. It went viral. Went to different states. People showed up. It was bad. I mean, even people from Illinois showed up. There was some guy from Washington, California. There was a Texas group. There's a Florida group. There's Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Illinois, North Carolina, Georgia. They were all here. Pennsylvania. I had a 2-mile-long brigade. Even nurses at hospitals and doctors. It went viral there for a while. That retired judge made millions off of my backside and others. In the meantime, people have been taken. They've been murdered. And people have been killed over this. And I've been trying to get help for the victims. And I want my money so I can move to a safe place. I'm going to upload this.